DSS intercepts syndicates selling new Naira notes, bank officials fingered. Abuja to Kaduna train services resumes operation after 2 days of suspension due to the train derailment. President Muhammadu Buhari approved extension of deadline for cash swap by 10 days beginning January 31st to the 10th of February. Oil climbs after drone attacks in Iran. China pledged to promote consumption. And on commodity watch, gold ticks up as dollar slips ahead of Federal Reserve meeting. The program is Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I'm Musa Abubakar. Have you joined us? Well, let's begin with railway services. The Abuja to Kaduna train services have resumed operations after 2 days of suspension due to the train derailment. Statement by the Director of Operations, Nigerian Railway Corporation, NTA, indicates that the train services will resume on Tuesday, 31st of January 2023, with 2 trips daily from Abuja to Kaduna and vice versa. He assured passengers of their continued safety. The Abuja to Kaduna train arriving from Rigasa derailed close to the Kubwa station on the 27th of January 2023. Now, the federal government will deploy point of sales agents for cash transfers during the National Social Safety Net program scale up. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, said this while hosting the Executive Director, Angola, Nigeria, South Africa constituency of the World Bank Group, Ms. Ayanda Dlo in Abuja. The program will cost $800 million and is to take off in 2023.
Already we're working on having all of the database that is required. So there's the rapid response register that has been set up and is being expanded. There's also a pipeline of agents network that are being put in place, working with the banking system and other financial services, so that on the approval of the National Assembly, we'll be able to quickly start deploying the funds that will be disbursed by the bank. Well, there are quite a number of projects that are in the pipeline from government side that are being funded by the World Bank. In my next visit, I will have a visit in the bigger sites where the projects are much bigger than what I have seen in the last few days that I was here. But there is a lot of work that still needs to be done on things like food security, like ensuring that there is access to electricity for citizens. And I think this is just the global African problem, where almost 600 million people in the continent have no access to electricity. And electricity always is a catalyst for economic growth and development.
The National Social Safety Net program scale-up is to be implemented by the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. President Muhammad Buhari has approved the extension of deadline for the cash swap program by 10 days beginning January 31st to the 10th of February. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that Emefiele announced this while briefing journalists after an audience with President Muhammad Buhari at his Daura residence in Katsina State. Emefiele said a 7-day extension has also been given after the new deadline for Nigerians to deposit their old notes, which will have lost their legal tender status at the CBN.
Based on the foregoing, we have today sought and obtained Mr. President's approval for the following. 1. A 10-day extension of the deadline from January 31, 2023 to February 10, 2023 to allow for collection of more old notes legitimately held by Nigerians and achieve more success in cash swap in our rural areas, in our villages and communities, after which all old notes outside the CBN loses their legal tender status. Our CBN staff, currently on mass mobilization and monitoring, together with officials of the EFCC and ICPC, will work together to achieve these objectives in the coming days. 2. A 7-day grace period beginning on February 10 to February 17, 2023, in compliance with Section 20, subsection 3 and Section 22 of the CBN Act, allowing Nigerians to deposit their old notes at the CBN after the February deadline, when the old currency would have lost its legal tender status.
He said deposit money banks have been provided guidelines on processes they must follow, while 30,000 super agents have been deployed nationwide to assist in the currency swap initiative in the hinterlands, rural areas and regions underserved by banks.
We are happy that so far, the exercise achieved a success of over 75% of the 2.7 trillion naira held outside the banking system. And like you can see, we've started to see inflation trending downwards and the exchange is relatively stable. We aim to support the efforts of our security agencies in combating banditry and ransom taking in Nigeria through this program, and we can see that the military are making a good progress in this important task in Nigeria.
Mr. Godwin Emefiele said the Central Bank of Nigeria is not unmindful of the seeming compromise by bank officials and other acts of sabotage by Nigerians and is committed to dealing with the situation decisively.
We will track them. Luckily, those non-Naira, they have trackers. We will make public those that are involved in this business of selling new Naira notes, whereas there are people who are suffering in the villages that need those new Naira notes. We will deal with them. We have passed on a few videos to the EFCC and they are going to track these people. So I'm seeing the opportunity to warn those bank officials, or indeed I want to say even CBN officials that may be involved in this process, that they will be dealt with.
Meanwhile, the Department of State Services has intercepted some members of an organized syndicate involved in the sales of newly redesigned Naira notes. A statement by the spokesperson of the DSS, Dr. Peter Afunanya, indicates that the DSS operatives, in course of its operations in some parts of the country, established that some commercial bank officials are aiding the economic sabotage. Consequently, the service wants currency racketeers to desist from this ignoble act, while urging appropriate regulatory authorities to step up monitoring and supervisory activities to address the emerging trend. DSS commands and informations have also been directed to ensure that all persons and groups engaging in the illegal sales of new notes are arrested and prosecuted. The Central Bank of Nigeria in Uyo says there is enough new Naira notes to go around.
Speaking shortly after an indoor meeting with the governor, leader of the CBN team, Paul Messi, says They are in the government house to brief the governor on their activities while carrying out sensitization across the state to educate Nigerians on the importance of ensuring their old Naira notes are returned back to the banks.
We are not even giving out old notes anymore to the banks. We are feeding them with new notes. And we have told them to feed their ATMs with new notes. And those banks that have not been following those things, if you have anyone, just report them to us. They will be penalized at the end of the day, and they know it.
They use the opportunity to swap some old notes for interested persons in the government's house. From the government house of Akwa Ibom State, Kevin Samuel.
Despite announcement of a 10 days extension of the redesigned policy, Bauchi State residents are busy taking advantage of the CBN's Naira swap. Bulak Hafsa reports on this situation.
The Apex Bank has distributed agents to ensure that the money swap continues so that residents will not lose.
Change the money today. Even though I was deciding, where am I going to change this money? But government have decided to bring the peoples nearby so that we should change their money in an easier way.
As you can see, most of the people that want, some have not seen the money. This is the first time we've seen it and having it. And we are able to witness swap of 10,000 and below. So this is a success exercise.
The bank has also intensified sensitization with their agents, canvassing the nooks and crannies.
We came to the emir to solicit his airport so that to create awareness to his people, so that people will be aware. Those people that have not been aware should be aware. Those people that have a lot of money, all currency, they should try to go and either swap with the agent or move them to the banks, nearest banks.
At the Emir of Bauchi Palace and that of the Emir of Das, these agents were seen busy doing the money swap.
Now, tensions are still high a day after President Muhammadu Buhari approved a 10-day cash swap extension of the redesigned Naira notes. What difference will the extension make in beating the deadline? Bosede Abel, who has been monitoring this development, reports that most ATMs in Abuja city centre are out of cash this Monday. Bosede, it's over to you.
One will think the zeal and efforts residents made to beat the January 31st deadline will be the same after the extension. But that doesn't seem to be the case anymore, as most of the once busy ATM terminals are now free due to lack of cash.
Well, me, the way I look at it is that the banks want to sabotage the government. All the banks, they are not dispensing the money, all.
In fact, I went to 4 banks on this axis. None is paying.
Unfortunately, the money will come out and reverse back.
When I came here, though they say it was paying, but I've not seen somebody coming out with money.
The extension, it has dashed the hope of some people. They're still waiting, still counting the days.
I pray so that it will be achievable. But with the situation on ground today,
if government are ready of this extension, they have to stop giving old note inside the bank so that the new note is going to circulate.
They should release money. Let's collect money for both in the counter and the ATM. Simple.
While some residents believe there is time enough to meet the targeted date, others noted it would amount to a waste of time if the new notes are not readily available. In Abuja, Bosede Ebo, NTA News.
Now, European markets open lower as Chinese stocks head for bull market. This and more after the break. While you're still watching Business Express, let's now take a look at more reports on newly redesigned Naira.
From Ilorin, Kainde Omolosho reports that residents receive with mixed feelings the extension, while some lauded the development. Others are concerned still about availability of the new notes at the new deadline.
After this extension, I don't expect the president to even give another ultimatum. Anybody that fails to do the right thing should suffer the death penalty.
It is the same story in Birnin Kebbi as reported by Usman Abdullahi Shehu. Indian gang report that Nigerians in Jos, Plateau State are of the opinion that the extension will not only reduce tension but ease transaction challenge being experienced in financial institutions across the country.
It's indeed a welcome development.
And Omari Kiawa reports that the news of the extension of new Naira note deadline by President Muhammad Buhari have caused business activities to pick up again in Borno State as residents, particularly liberated communities, struggle to change their old legal tenders.
I wanted to withdraw money, but I couldn't. I only get to withdraw 10,000, which I couldn't do anything with it. Thank you so much for the extension.
Toki and Wudung report that residents of Kaduna State are joyful over the extension and are optimistic that it will enable them deposit their old currency in the bank.
Definitely, it's going to ease the stress of people that want to deposit.
A saving grace is how Lagosians see the extension, particularly for those at the grassroots. Abolade Salami report that the development will give more Nigerians better accessibility of the redesigned Naira notes.
10 days is not enough. They're supposed to extend it to 2 months.
February 10 is the new deadline and February 17 for cash swap in rural and hard-reach areas. In Abuja, Amina Baba Suleiman.
Our stakeholders in the solid mineral sector are advocating for more private sector involvement in taking advantage of the huge potentials in the sector. Director General, Nigeria Interlogical Development Center, Linus Asuko, to the challenge at the maiden Nigeria Israeli Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture held in Abuja. Blessed with more than 44 different minerals of commercial quantity, the contribution from the sector to the GDP is still low, and this raises concern.
The Nigerian GDP is also included to show that our organized private sector needs to do more to bring about sustainable and inclusive economic growth and development. When we compare contribution of mining sector to GDP, you can see in Africa there, Botswana comes one with 38%, Democratic Republic of Congo 25%, South Africa 18%, Guinea 12%, Ghana 7%, Nigeria unfortunately 0.5%.
The business, our knowledge of this sector is very, very poor. And that is why we will probably realize that this sector has failed to develop over time, despite the repeated attempts to make it work. Because it's a sector that is based on high knowledge. It's not an ordinary sector. It's not like agriculture. Everybody can carry hoe and go to farm and cultivate. Easy.
It's the role of organized private sector in the development and sustainability of the economy that will lead to growth and development through solid mineral.
And now to energy. Oil prices climbed in early Asia trade on Monday, supported by tensions in the Middle East following a drone attack in Iran, and as Beijing pledged over the weekend to promote a consumption recovery, which will support fuel demand. Brent crude futures rose 54 cents to $87.20 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude was at $80.22 a barrel, up 54 cents. Gold ticks up as dollar slips ahead of Federal Reserve meeting. Let's take a trip to the commodities market. Bargain hunting in Gerugu, others lift index by 0.1% as turnover hits 13.6 billion naira.
This week, Nigeria's equities market increased for a second consecutive week, although it traded 3 sessions of negatives. The NGX all-share index appreciated by 0.12% to close the week at 52,657.88 points, while market capitalization increased to 28.681 trillion naira. Investors exchanged 756.7 million shares valued at 13.6 billion naira in 18,248 deals. The financial services industry led the activity chart with 454.7 million shares valued at 4.8 billion naira traded in 8,214 deals. The ICT industry followed, while the conglomerates industry was in the third place. Trading in the top 3 equities, FBN Holdings, Guarantee Trust Holding Company, and Fidelity Bank accounted for 165.5 million shares worth 2.32 billion naira in 2,530 deals. All other indices finished higher, with the exception of NGX 30, CG, Premium, Merry Growth, Consumer Goods and Sovereign Bond indices, which depreciated, while the NGX ASM index closed flat. 44 equities appreciated in price in the week. 29 equities depreciated in price, while 84 equities remained unchanged.
And our European markets open lower as Chinese stocks head for bull market. And Eko has more on the markets.
Hello and welcome to the Global Market Review. Stocks in Europe declined on Monday, along with U.S. equity futures, as a note of caution crept in at the start of a week marked by interest rate decisions. Now, the DAX in Germany declined 0.65%, London's FTSE slipped 0.08%, and the French CAC was down 0.54%. In the U.S., stocks traded lower in early trade amid a January rally, just as investors brace for the busiest week of earnings season. The Dow Jones Industrial Average slipped about 0.56%, S&P 500 depreciated by 0.86%, and the Nasdaq 100 was down 1.26%. Asian markets on their part finished mixed, with mainland Chinese markets rising on resuming trade after a week-long break. The Shanghai Composite gained 0.14%, bucking the trend in the wider region. The Nikkei 225 also rose 0.19%, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index plunged 2.73%. It was also mixed trading for African stocks this Monday, taking cues from Asian markets. South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40 led declines at 0.92% in early trading, while Morocco's Free Float Index and Ghana's GSE Composite were in positive territory. And that's Market Review. I am Neka Oko.
It's a positive start for the equities market in Nigeria as the NGX all-share index appreciated to 53,157.83 basis point. Market capitalization rose to 28.953 trillion. Investors exchanged 201.3 million shares valued at 5.66 billion naira in 4,332 deals. Now, this is where we end this edition of Business Express. We value your feedback, so keep the comments, observations, and suggestions coming. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. Business Express returns Tuesday by 9:30 a.m. I am Musa Abubakar saying, have a good day.